Hi, it's Colin. Make sure to subscribe to the Volume YouTube channel so you don't miss any episodes. You know, like Eli Manning did.
Eli's late. Hey, we're on this interview. You calling in? What are you doing?
What?
We're on this interview.
Oh, my bad. Sorry, I forgot about it.
You're killing me. You're killing me.
Let's start with 3 NFL topics. Number 1, and it's not the top topic of the day, but I watched a lot of the 49ers get hammered by Arizona and Colt McCoy. And if you did not watch that game, and most of America did not, what you saw is a hobbled Arizona team without their best run defender, J.J. Watt, without their top receiver, with a backup quarterback, go into San Francisco and out-scheme Kyle Shanahan. And there are tipping points in any relationship that is struggling. The Niners now cannot win home games as a favorite. And as you look around the division and the Rams look better coached, certainly better quarterback, more stars, better on both sides of the ball and special teams, and Arizona similarly now wins again in the Bay Area. What's it look like? It looks like John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan are a little over their skis. The game plan was noticeably rigid, and this has become something, if you're struggling, what you don't want to give the critics is a narrative they can grab onto. Cliff Kingsbury came out, very clever, very multiple trick plays. San Francisco, and this has now become a theme, very rigid, very conservative. And this is an offense that has one of the top 3 tight ends in football, George Kittle, one of the emerging stars at wide receiver, Deebo Samuel, a solid run game, and an above-average offensive line. There's no excuses here. Say what you want about Garoppolo. Look at Shanahan's record without Garoppolo. So now you have a theme building, a thread building against Shanahan. He's getting out-schemed by Kingsbury. He looks like his kind of intense, rigid personality is affecting Jimmy Garoppolo. But this was a really, really bad look for the 49ers. And the critics and the wolves are going to come out now. And McVay wowed us, then lost the Super Bowl to Belichick. Goff eroded. He was still winning, but he had to sort of reset with Matt Stafford. So we know it's not linear. We know that even great coaches have bad years. But what you're seeing now, I think Shanahan's intense personality is affecting the way Jimmy Garoppolo plays and the way the Niners call plays, and it's a bad look. My takeaway on Cleveland-Cincinnati. Sometimes we know things are true, and yet we struggle to embrace them. We know chemistry matters in sports, right? We know this. You ever go on a guy's trip to Vegas with 4 or 5 guys, 6 or 7 guys, and one guy's a turd and ruins the trip? That's all it takes. We've all gone on camping trips, Vegas trips, golf trips. It just takes one guy who's snarky, a little bit of an a-hole. It ruins it for everybody. We know that in professional sports, you can be really talented, but can do your team a disservice and chemistry a disservice. Kyrie Irving to the Celtics is a great example. How did that not work? Good coach, Jason Tatum, Marcus Smart, Jaylen Brown. How did that not work? Difficult guy, narcissistic guy. You're on the plane with him. You're at practice with him. There were a lot of stories. I talked to Ryan Russillo about this about a year ago. There are a lot of stories that didn't get reported how difficult Kyrie Irving was. So the OBJ to Cleveland thing. So diva, high maintenance, dramatic receiver goes to a young quarterback in a dysfunctional organization. It doesn't work. And then data over 2 years suggests it doesn't work. Everybody push back. Can we have a new rule? Can we have a new rule in sports? Bill Maher has his new rules. Here's my new rule. That great players can leave an organization and the organization gets better. High maintenance people. We know this in our own lives. You ever have a family get together at Thanksgiving and you got a weird brother-in-law and everybody's walking on eggshells and it's not as much fun? Same shit happens in sports. I thought Baker Mayfield played as free and as comfortable as he has in a year. And by the way, Donovan Peoples-Jones is a really, really nice young receiver out of Michigan, 6'2". Over the last 6 or 7 weeks, He's been open a lot if you're a Browns fan. He is a more than capable number 2 wide receiver to Jarvis Landry. And let's just stop pushing back on the belief or the understanding that sometimes you lose a great talent, but he doesn't work for the room. Dak Prescott was better when Dez left. Okay, new rule. It happens. Infrequently, but it happens. I want to talk about Urban Meyer, who with arguably the worst roster in the NFL and a rookie quarterback beat a great head coach, a great roster, and a great quarterback in Josh Allen. With the probably worst roster in the NFL. Folks, I put a wet blanket on it 6 months ago, a month ago. I'll put a wet blanket on it again. He's not going to USC. He's not going to LSU. He has been paid a fortune. He and his wife love Florida. They love that Jacksonville area. And now, I am not saying after 2 years, if Urban won 2 games this year and 4 next year, and just it didn't work, I could see him saying, I love Trevor Lawrence. I want to get the right coaches in here. I'm done. Give me 75% of the money promised. I get it. It would look too weird for him to leave after 1 year. Secondly, look at Brian Flores right now in Miami. They have a much better roster. They are struggling. We love Joe Judge in New York. He is struggling. By and large, you're about as good as your roster. Jacksonville's roster is terrible. And this idea, and I've talked about this before, there are so many people that cover the NFL that were so opposed to Urban Meyer walking in and succeeding early that he really entered with an anti-Urban agenda from a good portion of the NFL writers. I don't know how successful he's going to be, but folks, this stuff isn't science. It's not science. It's football coaching. Buddy Ryan won a lot of games. Mike Ditka won a Super Bowl. These aren't geniuses. Belichick's mom spoke 7 languages. He's different, and therefore has dominated the league for 20 years. But the average football coach, for anybody listening to me who's a successful professional, education, law, anything, had you taken up coaching, you would be as smart as a football coach, or perhaps smarter. This idea that Urban was going to be overwhelmed by it. My concern with Urban Meyer was a simple one. Can he build a staff? Because I think there were a lot of doubts in NFL circles. Is this guy a good fit? A lot of these college guys have failed. So I don't love his offensive staff. But this idea, yesterday, Sean McDermott, Bills, Josh Allen. Folks, there's an argument to be made. That's the best team in the AFC. And Urban Meyer beat him with a rookie quarterback and a lousy roster. Urban may not work, but we wouldn't give a quarterback 8 games and bail on him. Why would we give a coach building a culture 8 games? Just be reasonable. Just be fair about it.